Everybody, it's Friday night, which means it's time for Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. review. Tonight is Season 5, Episode 15, Rise and Shine. So if you remember from last week, Phil decided to go along with Hale and see what her big bad plan is, because if you saw one of the trailers, she's saying that S.h.i.e.L.D. and Hydra should work together, because I think a lot of it is going to be leading up towards the Infinity Wars. Warnings, as always, this will be spoilerish. I'm not going to tell you the whole thing. But basically, this is similar to Rewind, which was, the story with Fitz and Hunter, because everybody else is in the future. Well, how did Fitz get to that? It's the same thing, too. Basically, closing up bagged and tagged. He's taken to a facility we keep seeing that looks like an abandoned lunchroom kind of thing. Is actually was an old Hydra School underground. Hale says, well, to understand my plan of how we should be working together, I'm going to tell you my story. 28 years ago, Hale was a young girl, and you see her getting ready for school, and it looks like, a dorm room or something, and it's, uniforms and stuff. She has to put a tie on and everything, and it's a Hydra School. So I guess they figured, okay, you, and you, we're going to train you guys, and then we're going to put you out there. And this is like, advanced sleeper agent school for Hydra agents. We do get to see White Hale again, coming back, and he's saying, okay, you're all ready to graduate now, and here's what we're going to do, and we got big plans for you, and you're going to go here, and you're going to go there, and you're going to go there, and you're going to go there. And I guess because it's, back in the day, and I don't know if Hydra's also misogynist, or they don't really care for girls, even though they have girls in their ranks or women in their ranks. Some of the guys still are going to pick on her. So Hale's get picked on a little bit. There is this cool scene where, she's doing some weight training or something, and a couple of guys says, let's do this. And, oh yeah, the reason it was done to that, because in the previous scene, Whitehall was saying, okay, here's what we're going to do, here's what we're going to do. We've got these plans, and how should we proceed with these plans? And a very young von Strucker is like, oh, I think we should be doing the plans like this. And then Hale comes across like, we shouldn't be doing that. We should be, looking this way instead of that way. And Whitehall, he said, that's the kind of thinking we want in Hydra. Well done. And I guess because she upstaged von Strucker, okay, get her back. So we cut to a gym scene where she's working out. A couple of guys put some weights on, and I guess they figure, she can get hurt because she can't handle the weight. She manages to get it off and pummels two of the guys that were actually, you find out later, they were actually just like henchmen for von Strucker. So I guess they already, start off young at being evil geniuses. She's ready to get placed. She did what she was supposed to do as part of her training. Slight hint, it was similar to the training they had to do in the first Kingsman movie, but more literally. She said, well, I don't want to work on the super soldier program you think, the Hydra's trying to get going. It's like, oh, no, von Strucker's going to be doing that. We have better plans for you, Miss Hale. And, well, I'm going to go in the Air Force, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to become an astronaut, maybe. That'd be kind of cool. Says, no. And again, this is Whitehall talking to her. You're going to birth the child that will become the super soldier. And she's kind of like, what? Whole thing, oh, yeah, because, it's almost like, you're just a woman kind of thing, and you're just good for making babies. I mean, eventually she dies, as we see. She has become a general in the Air Force, working undercover for Hydra. She has to take a step back to do that, and we find out that's how we get Ruby. So again, we come back. It's 2 years ago, and now Ruby is in Hydra School. She's doing it her own way. Also, she's super smart. She can kick ass. She can kick any of the boys' asses. Anybody tries to take her on, no problem. Bang, bang, bang. They're all down on the ground. And they're also tying into things, too, that this is around the same time when Hydra starts to fall. You get introduced back to Talbot shows up again. 24 hours before. Also, when Talbot is back, before I don't want to get too far ahead. When Talbot is come back, he did have some brain damage because I guess it did graze his head. So Hale takes over and says, we can't really help him in the hospital. We'll take him somewhere else. So they end up taking him into the Hydra School complex. And he thinks, oh, I won't talk to you guys. It's going to be torture or something. And she's just like, no, I have this grand plan. And she shows him this MacGuffin, which is basically a space transporter of sorts. We don't know who it is. It's a coalition of aliens that we heard earlier, if you watched last week's episode, called the Confederation or the Confederacy, something like that. Basically, it's a kind of like United Federation of Planets, but it's, you know, the Marvel version of it, and it's all these different alien races, and they want to try to help humanity because of the impending alien invasion, which I believe is a lead up to the Infinity War. So they know, like, oh yeah, you know, Thanos is going to show up with his goons, so we got to get the Earth ready. She's following along with that. Hale does show Coulson the Gizmo again. They actually do take a little trip to wherever the Confederacy is, somewhere in space, with the MacGuffin Gizmo, and talk to them, and then they come back and said, "You really got to go for this, because every time you have, you know, you have dealings with somebody, it doesn't matter who, somebody could turn their tails, it could be a double cross, that kind of thing." And Hale's like, "No, no, no, I'm working on a double cross." And then she talks about the super soldier program that Whitehall was talking about with the, I think it was called the particle infuser gizmo thingy, and where they can take it. So they've got the gravitonium, they're going to use the infusion device, and they're going to create an inhuman. Figured, oh, she can use her daughter Ruby as that. And Hale's like, no, 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 we're not going to use my daughter. We're going to use Daisy, because we infuse her with that. She's already got the power, imagine, with her. And the project that Whitehall called the project was Destroyer of Worlds. So there's the tie back into Daisy did actually destroy the world, because Hale's got this plan, her plan. And then Coulson says, hey, you know what? We were in the future. Well, you didn't realize that. And we saw what happens, and we know this whole, and he tells her basically in 2 seconds the backstory of what happened. And Hale's just like, oh, and let me guess. And I guess she's got some complex, maybe because of the whole baby thing, and maybe she just doesn't trust men. She's like Coulson's like, oh, I guess you were the big, strong, tough guy in the future. And she totally does not believe what he was telling her. So she's got a bit of a Talbot attitude too. You like, anything the S.h.i.e.L.D. says, no, it's got to be totally unbelievable. And oh, sure, you went back into the future, and sure, Daisy's destroyed the world. Pfft, you know, poppycock and BS and whatever other adjectives you can think of. And then we cut back for a second back to S.h.i.e.L.D. HQ. There was some pictures floating around. Yo-Yo does get her arms from the robot, and they do the operation. It's concerned because from last week's episode 2, Yo-Yo's going on like, you know, don't worry about me. You know, I'm going to survive because I met myself in the future, which means, you know, there are so many theories on the way the future and the way time unravels. Some people think it just goes the one way and you can never change it. There are some theories of like the quantum theory of every time you make a decision, it branches on every decision you make. So that was Phil was telling Hale earlier. Yeah, that's not going to work, because I've seen the Earth. The Earth is like, you know, destroyed, devastated, Kree everywhere. We're enslaved because of the future thing. So Mac was talking with Emma, saying, yeah, Yo-Yo thinks she's invincible because she knows she's going to survive. So this goes, Gemma's going, oh, okay, really? So we cut a little bit over back to Fitz. He's still locked up in a room. They figured, okay, where's Phil, that kind of thing. And Daisy is now officially in charge. So May says, sometimes you got to think like your enemy. Let's use Fitz. So she has all this documentation, gives it to Fitz. Can you figure this out? And says, yeah, but I've had access to the computer. Of course, Daisy, she comes in like, oh, no, no, you're not going to give everything. She gets mad, you know, does a quake the Fitz. This is one thing I hate about some of the characters. So Daisy, right away, she's another character who never listens, or she's mad about something, and then she's headstrong, running off and doing her own thing. And everything's just kind of left at that. So this week we do have a tag again. Because of Mac talking about Yo-Yo, thinking she's invincible because she knows that she's going to be in the future, even though without any arms. But right now she has arms, so there's a change again in the future past. Gemma talks to Fitz and says, like, you know, hey, by the way, the whole reveal of, she actually reveals too, because she found out last week that, you know, Deke is her grandson. So she tells Fitz, hey, by the way, you know, remember that multi-tool you keep losing all the time, or you forget what it's called, and it scratched on there, that kind of thing. Yeah. I never can find it. You know, she shows him one, but it's, you know, it's more beat up one. And he says, yeah, I've got this one here. It's like, no, that's not yours. That's Deke's. Because Deke said his grandfather gave it to him. It's just like, oh, what? So Fitz is surprised and not really surprised. So that was a nice little tie-in too. So we are tying off all the loose ends for the show. So this was not too bad. I kind of like the backstory thing again. That's always kind of neat to see where things coming. And what I always like is they tie in the continuity. Okay, where was Talbot? Oh, Talbot is here now. You know, how did we get Ruby? Where did Ruby come from? Well, because of Hydra forcing Hale to have a baby. You know, all these things. And now we know where the term the Destroyer of Worlds came from. And as always, like, did anybody else see the episode tonight? What did you guys think? Again, like always, don't forget, leave your comments down below. Again, if you're new here, don't forget, hit subscribe, hit the notifications. I do post on a weekly basis. Still debating if I'm going to do Veda this year or not. I haven't been feeling up to it, and that's a big job. I was thinking about maybe batch recording, that kind of thing. We'll see how I go. I haven't been feeling up to snuff either. There's a lot of stuff going on. I have to be in the right mood. I actually was going to do I'm thinking about doing Throwback Thursday or Throwback Tuesday kind of thing, and doing older movies. I actually see Chris Stuckman is actually doing movies before a certain time. He talked about Seven Samurai this week, so that was kind of cool. But I was going to look at my video collection and doing about that. And actually, there's somebody I follow on Facebook who also does movie reviews, and she has her own website. And looking at people doing either written reviews or video reviews, but doing like different times, like 70s, 80s, 90s, that kind of thing. So that's it for me for now, and we'll see how things go and see how next month goes. And as always, we'll see you in the next one.